This episode is brought to you by our friends at Imperial Organic Yeast. There's great news for homebrewers from Imperial. Casey says a lager strain that's been a favorite with professional brewers is now available for us homebrewers and is Imperial's winter seasonal, L26 Pilgrimage. Pilgrimage will produce lagers with a very clean profile that can accentuate the flavors and aromas of Pilsner malt along with the aromatics of noble hops. This lager yeast is very versatile and does well for all lager styles from Helles to Doppelbock. Ask your local homebrew store for L26 Pilgrimage from our friends and sponsors at Imperial Organic Yeast. And check them out at imperialyeast.com. That's imperialyeast.com. Welcome to Basic Brewing Radio for Thursday, January 6th, 2022. I'm James Spencer. Here at Basic Brewing Radio, we're all about home brewing. This week, a very special episode of the show as we attend a brewing of the legendary barley wine, New Albion Old Toe Sucker Ale. That's Old Toe Sucker Ale at Fossil Cove Brewing, and talk to founding father of American craft brewing, Jack McAuliffe. If you go to basicbrewing.com, you can find archives of our audio and video shows. And if you go to basicbrewingshop.com, you can find our DVDs and our brewer's logbooks. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Basic Brewing and find our show page on Facebook as well. If you want to support us financially, check out patreon.com/basicbrewing. And thanks to everybody who's helping out in that way. If you go to patreon.com/basicbrewing, you can see a long list of stuff that you can access if you sign up as a supporter. Well, here we are in 2022, and I'm starting this year off with a brewing conundrum. You might have seen on social media, I brewed an unhopped wort on Christmas Day and soured it over a couple of days with Lacto Brevis from Imperial, using my electric system from High Gravity as a sous vide. It got down to 3.4 pH, according to my little pH meter. So I boiled the wort for 15 minutes, adding some Sots hops, chilling it, and pitching Imperial A01 House. Then, there the wort sat. Now, I'm used to very quick activity from Imperial pouches, so, I was a little perplexed. So, to jumpstart the process, I pitched a couple of packets of hydrated USO5. Still, no activity. I checked the gravity, and it hadn't moved after a couple of days. So after corresponding with Casey and Alex at Imperial, I added some yeast energizer, some oxygen, and warmed it up a bit, roused everything up, but still no sign of life in the fermenter. So I'm wondering if my little inexpensive pH meter is giving me a false reading. It says the wort is 3.4 pH, and the wort tastes really good and tart, but it doesn't seem that sour. So I'm still in contact with Casey and Alex, bouncing ideas, but I'm open to more ideas, from you. If you've had a similar experience with a kettle-soured wort that, has trouble getting started, let me know. I still think the beer is salvageable because the wort it tastes great. And I want to eventually add passion fruit puree, but I don't want to do it right now because I'm afraid that'll lower the pH even more. So do you have any ideas? Drop me a line at james@basicbrewing.com. Maybe all together we can figure out what did I do? In the meantime, in a way to regain my brewing confidence, I brewed the next batches for the sampler series, and this time I want to play with tinctures of dried chili peppers, and I figure that'll warm Steve and me up in the colder weather that will surely come our way before long. I've got some homegrown dried chilies in the pantry, and I'm going to look for some commercial examples in the stores here before long. We had a great visit with our sons over the holidays. I hope that all of you had a great holiday season. And on the way back from dropping Drew off at the airport, we stopped by High Gravity in Tulsa. Desiree and Dave, they're sponsors of the show and have been since way the early days. Susan and I stopped in at Pippin's Tap Room and sampled some really good beers. They're really doing excellent work there. at Pippin's Tap Room. Everything that we had was great, and I loaded up the trunk with a case or so to bring home. Now, if you're not in Tulsa or going through there anytime soon, you can order ingredient kits from HighGravityBrew.com to brew some of the beers that we liked so much yourself, like the This Aggression Will Not Stand Man White Stout. Now, you look at this beer, and it looks like a pale ale, and then you taste it, and your taste buds, if they're like mine, they'll do a double take. While it's light-colored, it's brewed with flaked oats, flaked barley, lactose, vanilla extract, and double-shot coffee beans. All of that come in the kit. And it tastes more like a milk stout than a pale ale. So much fun. Then there's the Doc Brown Imperial Brown Ale, which is one of Susan's favorites. We got a 4-pack of that to bring home. It's fairly big for a brown ale, but very drinkable and delicious. Now, these recipes have been thoroughly tested by customers at Pippin's Tap Room, and you can get them in kit form at HighGravityBrew.com. And, of course, they can take the pain out of propane with excellent Word Hog electric brewing systems, which you can save $75 on by using the code EBC75BB. So check it all out at family-owned and operated HighGravityBrew.com. That's HighGravityBrew.com. Okay, you've heard Jack McAuliffe on the show several times. He's the founder of New Albion Brewing in Sonoma, California, back in 1976. The brewery only lasted half a dozen years, but it created ripples that historians say were the genesis, basically, of the American craft beer industry. Before that, no one had basically made a commercial brewery from scratch using found and repurposed equipment, and it just kind of, as they say in the corporate training world, it established a new paradigm. It was a paradigm shift. Now, in rebrewing New Albion Ale, Jim Cook said that Jack was the snowflake that started an avalanche or something like that. And then at the event where the beer was announced, Jack stepped up to the mic and introduced himself as Little Jackie Snowflake. So you can hear that in the archives. Jack has passed the New Albion brand to his daughter, Renee DeLuca, and you can find it now. In fact, New Albion has recently partnered with BrewDog to distribute the original recipe. And I think I saw like a New Albion like non-alcoholic stout too. So it'll be interesting to see what else comes out of that partnership. So when I heard homebrewers here in Northwest Arkansas were working with Fossil Cove Brewing to brew their version of New Albion's barley wine based on a recipe that Jack brewed with Ken Grossman of Sierra Nevada a few years back, I was very excited, of course. Now, the beer is called Old Toe Sucker for reasons that Jack will remind us of in just a few minutes. So let's go back a couple of weeks to Fossil Cove Brewing in Fayetteville, Arkansas. Kevin Elskin, welcome to Basic Brewing Radio.
Well, glad to be here.
You're the reason I'm here. You were the one that contacted me and invited me to this event, and I'm grateful for that. And if I sound muffled, I'm talking through a mask here today because our son is coming home on Tuesday from Seattle, and we haven't seen him in 2 years. And I want to take zero or as low risk as possible to be, not be quarantined.
Like I said, we don't judge much here, except for your beer. So 25 years ago, I'd come home for Christmas. My wife and I were living in Pittsburgh, and I had a home brew. We had visited with some friends of ours, and he was a home brewer, and he said, I have a home brew? And so I tasted home brew, and I don't know, I hadn't given a whole lot of thought. And I came home, and I was watching TV, and this ad for this local brew shop came on TV, and you can make beer at home. So I noodled on this. I went back to Pittsburgh, and I had a friend of mine who was a PhD chemist, and I sort of seemed like the type who'd be in these kind of shenanigans. So I said, hey, Ray, I said, I saw this homebrewing ad back in TV. I'm just making homebrew. What do you think? I'd stopped by the home brewery, picked up some literature. He says, oh, yeah, I made beer back in college. I got some of the equipment at home. I'll teach you how to do it. So 25 years ago, January 1997, I made my first batch of homebrew. And as it turns out, a few years later, I'm listening to got this podcast player and this thing called Basic Brewing Radio. And it turns out that James Spencer here was the guy who had actually produced that commercial for the home brewery. So you're the reason that I've been a home brewer for 25 years. So it's all your fault.
Oh, yeah, I apologize to your wife.
Thanks for that. She'll appreciate that.
So what do we got going on here today?
Well, we're doing a kind of a special brew. It actually dates back to New Albion Brewing, which was one of the original craft brewing companies in America. Dates back to the 70s. A man named Jack McAuliffe started the brewery. So as the brew club, we were kind of interested in doing a project, something to gather some interest, and we knew Jack lived locally. We had some contacts there, and we said, well, maybe we could do a barley wine, and we worked with Ben here at Fossil Cove. And so kind of all the stars aligned, and we're here today rebrewing this barley wine, the original recipe in theory from the days of the 1970s at New Albion.
So this is one that was actually brewed by Jack and Ken Grossman back a few years ago at Sierra Nevada.
That is my understanding. And if you go online, you can find some information about that. I think Sierra Nevada was one to do a commemorative brew, and again, they invited Jack to come up and be part of that project. So it has been brewed more recently by Sierra Nevada.
Now, you're a member of Flops, or Fayetteville Lovers of Pure Suds.
Correct.
Talk about the club.
Homebrew Club located here in Fayetteville. We meet once a month, currently meeting at Fossil Cove on third Thursdays of the month. I don't know the exact number on the membership. We got a pretty small core of brewers, and we like to do some social events. And like I said, we meet monthly, talk about beer, get together, drink beer, bicycle, drink beer, whatever.
So it's all educational.
Absolutely.
So we got a good group here today.
Yeah, like I said, we've been kind of planning this for a while, and I think homebrewers always like to kind of come out and see how the big boys brew, and it's neat to see, beer being made in real time on a commercial system. And like I said, most of us don't have experience with that, so it's kind of fun to see. Plus, it's cold outside, so come inside and make beer.
Yeah, there you go. And we're looking at Ben's big system. He started off small with his 3-barrel system, and now he's got this big old honkin' system here, and we'll talk to him about it. But he has kind of gotten past where Jack McAuliffe wasn't able to get with New Albion. So we're in a different time nowadays.
Yeah, my understanding with Jack was I think he was brewing in like 55-gallon stainless vessels, and while he apparently made good beer, I guess it just didn't scale up, my understanding was he couldn't get the capital to expand, and that's kind of forced him to close. But yeah, that was the scale that Jack started on. And of course, like I said, Ben's got this 30-barrel system here and a whole bunch of new shiny fermenters over here, and they seem to be cranking the beer out. And I'd have to say, kudos to Fossil Cove. Their beers are pretty good quality, so I always enjoy drinking their beers.
Awesome. Thanks, Kevin.
You're very welcome. Nice talking to you.
Ben Mills, how you doing
Sir.
How are you doing this morning?
I'm good. How are you this morning?
I'm well. I'm here at your brewery watching you brew.
It's been a while since we've done this.
Yeah. Yeah, last time I saw you brew, it was in a much smaller batch.
Yeah, I think was the last time that Berliner Weiss we made? The
so.
sour
Yeah.
mash? Yeah, that was 2013.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So talk about your new system. We've talked about it before on the show, but remind us, you're brewing with the big boys now.
Yes, sir, we are. 20-barrel brew house. So compared to, we had a 4-barrel brew house down the street. We were running 5.5-barrel batches on it, filling it almost to the manway door to when we were producing everything with that system. So we basically quadrupled the system size, and now we can brew one day to get 4 brews worth off on the old system.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing. It's much nicer.
So you must be moving some beer.
We are. Yeah, we are. Yeah, we should do about 2,000 barrels of packaged beer this year. And then next year, we added some 60-barrel fermenters. We ought to be able to get up around 3,000.
Wow. It seems to be that when we first talked years and years ago, your goal was to stay small.
We're still really small. That's the thing. Yes.
It's all relative.
It is all relative. But no, if you look at the national average, we're in the middle of the road, if not on the lower end of annual production.
And there's still room. I mean, Northwest Arkansas has a ton of breweries nowadays. There's really a bunch of beers being produced.
Right.
But it still seems like there's demand. The bubble hasn't burst yet.
No, and I think if you looked at an area that didn't have exponential growth going on from a population standpoint, it'd be a different story. But right now, there's just so many new people coming to town that it's what's driving our growth right now. Because we're not, we haven't expanded out. Our distribution area has stayed the same for over a year now, and we've only had to make more beer.
Wow.
So it's, our growth is just the demand of our local community, which was really what we started out wanting to do anyways, was just service the local community, not distribute too far out, manage our own distribution, which we're still doing. So yeah, I would say that we're still keeping the goal set in mind. It's just, it looks a lot bigger,
So today, it's kind of, is it intimidating to be brewing what you're brewing today? I mean, you're brewing kind of a historic recipe with a historic figure
Right.
in your midst.
Right.
I mean, he's coming. He's
Right.
not here yet. It's kind of like Santa Claus.
Right.
But, so is it intimidating?
It is a little intimidating, yeah. I mean, it's having all you guys in here is fun, but you're kind of brewing under a microscope. And then it's the first time we've ever made this beer. I didn't do any test batches. So you're going off of just Sierra Nevada's brew logs and Keith's brew log, really just trying to get it close. And luckily, we'll go through and do some checks in the kettle and make sure that we're getting the gravities right. And we've got plenty of time. We know we're already going to be boiling for a couple hours anyways, so we shouldn't have any issues hitting our target.
So
That would be the most intimidating thing, is not hitting our target gravity, because Keith nailed it, and so we got to do it too.
yeah, I'll share you the recipe. Andy Sparks and I brewed a batch back in 2015.
Oh, a version of this?
And our goal was to hit 10% alcohol. In fact, let me get my book.
Okay.
It's right here. Just happen to have it right here. You can't read my writing probably, but it's like a 4.5 gallon batch.
Yeah.
18 pounds of 2-row, 2 3/4 pounds of 40 Lovibond Crystal. It looks like 1/10 of a pound of debittered black malt.
Okay.
So, and then hopped with half an ounce of Galena at 90 minutes, an ounce
cool.
of Willamette at 60, and an ounce of Cascade at 30.
Nice.
Is that anywhere close to what?
Really nothing like it at all. I mean, we did the vast majority for us, and pretty close. Looks pretty close for you too. 84% is just pale malt, and then we did 7% each of Cara 90 and roasted barley. And the only difference in our grain bill between Sierra Nevada and Keith is that I misread their caramel edition, and they did 60 instead of 90. Is it going to make a difference? Probably not very much. So from a flavor standpoint, it might just have a little bit more of a burnt caramel flavor to it instead of a little sweeter caramel. But that would be about the difference, because it's such a dark beer that 30 degrees Lovibond's not going to make a huge difference.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ben.
Yeah, you're welcome, James. It's good to see you.
Yeah. Brian.
Hello, how are you?
We're transitioning right into another interview here.
Oh man, that's not what I signed up for. Just kidding.
Brian Sorensen, author, beer author, and you wrote the book is Arkansas Beers?
That's right, Arkansas Beer, an intoxicating history, James.
And one of the best forewords I've ever read in my life.
The foreword is tremendous, I will give you that. I'm very lucky to have had you write that for me. I think most people bought the book for the foreword and not the actual content.
I'm still waiting on my check. No, I wasn't digging for a compliment. I was just making a joke. But so this is, from a journalist perspective, this is pretty exciting.
This is amazing. It's the intersection of so many different things we love about beer. A craft beer pioneer, a local commercial brewer, and a homebrew club. I mean, what a way to spend a Saturday morning.
It's a trifecta, at least.
It is. And as a Hot Springs guy, you know the value of a trifecta.
Little horse racing joke there. So this is, again, another kind of milestone you and I both have been, documenting the history of the craft beer industry in Northwest Arkansas, and it's hard to look back to where we were to where we are now, and then part of the reason that it is here at all is because of the man that's going to walk through the door here in a few minutes.
Yeah, that's right. The past 10 years has been a wild ride here in Northwest Arkansas. I can remember not too long after Ben opened Fossil Cove, joining you for the Berliner Weiss release. I think Andy brought some syrups along from the homebrew club, and there were hardly any breweries around at that time. I mean, you could count them on one hand virtually, and today we're up over a dozen. I don't know the exact number, so I don't want to say it out loud, but we're at a really high number, and it seems like one opens about every 3 months here, with more in planning. But yeah, to have Jack here, I mean, one of the godfathers of the whole American craft beer industry. When I think about like who's on the Mount Rushmore of American craft brewers, he's right there alongside Ken Grossman, Fitz Maytag, and you could probably debate who the others might be, but those three immediately come to mind. And here he is, right in our backyard.
Yeah,
and
it's crazy.
He'll be here in 2 hours to join us and celebrate another brew day of a fantastic recipe, and man, a great big barley wine. I can't wait to taste this one.
Yeah, it's going to be nice. Well, thank you, sir. It's good to see you again.
Nice to see you as well.
Daniel Stubblefield, welcome to Basic Brewing Radio.
Thanks for having me, James.
Now you are filling some figuratively filling some big shoes here. You are owner of North Tunnel Homebrew Supply here in Fayetteville, Arkansas, the former Steve's Brew Shop.
Yes, sir. I don't think I'll ever actually be able to fill the shoes that the guys that have actually owned the store before me. It's pretty much impossible. There's no way I'll be able to do that. But we're going to try our best to do that, and maybe bring a little bit more changes to the place as well.
So, what's your approach? I mean, are you what parts of the shop, so to speak, are you keeping, and what part of you are you going in a new direction in any ways?
It's pretty much going to be the basic kind of layout like Steve did have it. We've got it opened up to where you can come in. If you're familiar with the store, you can actually come in, mill your own grains if you know what you want. We're going to do that. But the new things that are going to be coming 2022 is we're actually trying to get a couple of brewing vessels in the shop to where people can actually come in, purchase their ingredients that they need to brew beer, and then actually could be able to use our equipment at the shop.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a brew on premise kind of thing.
Yeah, to a certain extent. I mean, it's actually not going to be a brewery, but we will be able to come in. People will be able to pretty much make their wort, take it with them, and then pitch their yeast at home.
So technically, if you're not, I toured we did a story on a brew on premise in St. Paul maybe, or Minneapolis, and their thing was as long as the customers are pitching the yeast, they're not actually brewing the beer, so they could kind of get away with in that area. They could get around some of the regulations in that way. So I guess you're just making barley soup, essentially.
Well, in the state of Arkansas, from what I've read, if we're going to pitch yeast in our homebrew shop, that it's technically distributing alcohol outside, so we'd have to have a distributor's license. Yeah. So that's why we're doing it to where you come make your wort, throw your hops in your wort, but whenever you cool it off, you actually, as long as you pitch it outside the shop, we have no problem with it.
So what's your journey? How did you get to where you wanted to own a homebrew shop?
Well, I actually never crossed my mind of owning a homebrew shop. I've started homebrewing about 5 or 6 years ago, and I did a small little homebrew competition down in Ozark, Arkansas, and that's where I met the owners of Albion Brewing. I did got People's Choice on the beer down there, and I come in second place. And what we did is I come in a few months later, ask them, how everything was going, ask them if the gentleman that actually won the competition, I guess the grand prize is they were going to be able to come in and brew their beer, and they would have it on tap. Well, I guess that gentleman never got back with them, and so they offered me if I wanted to do it, and of course I accepted. And about 2 months later, once the beer come out and it started selling really well, they asked me if I wanted to come in and actually brew full time with them. And so I said, sure.
Wow. So you kind of stumbled into that.
Yeah, I was definitely stumbled. I really appreciate Karen and Darren down at Albion Brewing. They're really great people. They actually, I don't think I would have had the opportunity to come in and brew on a small commercial level and get the experience I did. The whole part of running into Steve and Steve's Brew Shop is I was a customer of his, just like everyone. And when I come in earlier this year in 2021, about July, he told me that he was going to have to close the store. And I was originally wanting to open a small brewery out in the Elkins area. And I talked to my wife about it, and she's actually the one that's pushed me to do it. She's been more for their home brew side, and it kind of just went from there. Everything kind of worked out, and Steve's been like awesome, on the handing over, I guess, the reins of the homebrew shop. He's been very helpful, and I probably couldn't do it without a lot of his inspiration, a lot of his help.
Well, we want you to, not speaking for him, but I know that we both want you to succeed because, we want a local homebrew shop. It's important for homebrewers to have a local homebrew shop for more than just the ease of getting ingredients, but there's also the advice and the community, and, there's all that ancillary stuff that is, goes beyond just the grain and the hops and the yeast.
Yeah. And you're correct about that. I've had so many people that's come in that either just don't have social media or just didn't know that even Steve had sold. That they were just shocked that it was actually still open. They were kind of curious because of the name change and everything like that. But it's slowly starting to pick back up. More people are realizing that, hey, he did close, but it's reopened, from the transition from him closing to us open, it was only like 2 weeks. So we try to do that quick, transformation. That way nobody was really out any time.
And you've still got his URL at this point, stevesbrewshop.com, but do you have your own in the works? Or?
Yes, actually, we just had a new website come up about 2 weeks ago. It is still kind of in the works, but it is operational. And it's nortonalbrewingsupply.com. But even if you do type in, say, stevesbrewshop.com, it will redirect you to our new website.
Yeah, I used it to order ingredients yesterday that I'm going to pick up when I leave here, in fact. But it looks great, and it was easy to use.
Yeah, that's good. We use Red Tree Marketing out of Rogers, a local place, and they've been really helpful. And it was, like I said, a pretty quick process. It did take them about a month, but there is a lot of products on that website that they had to switch over, and I understand how, it's taken a little bit to do that.
Well, congratulations, and best of luck, and we'll be seeing you.
All right, thanks so much, James.
Dry January? Well, not for me, but I am doing something I'm calling moist January. I'm not going to go completely dry, just cutting back on calories all around. And one of my indulgences and rewards that I'm giving myself this month is craft mead from our friends and sponsors, Ricky and Kelly from Groenfell and Havoc Meaderies in Vermont. Now, I know a lot of you are already familiar with the deliciously drinkable craft meads from Groenfell and Havoc, but for those of you who aren't, you might want to check out their mead starter packs. There's the modern mead starter pack by Havoc, which has a 4-pack each of Psychopomp, which is a sour cherry mead, Hop Swarm, a dry hopped mead, and Root of All Evil, which is a ginger mead and is crazy good. Really, really good. Everything is good that they put out, but man, that ginger stuff. Woo. Or maybe you want to go with the Classic Mead Starter Pack, which features a 4-pack each of Valkyrie's Choice, a deliciously simple classic mead, Old Wayfarer, which is an oaked amber mead, and Nordic Farmhouse, which is a classic cranberry mead. Everything is good, like I say. And great news, each starter pack comes with free shipping across the country. Like I say, everything I've had from Groenfell and Havoc is really good, great to pair with food or just to sip on its own. Start 2022 with delicious honey-based goodness from Groenfell.com. That's Groennfell. And now let's talk to Jack McAuliffe. So, Jack, can you tell the story of the original Toe Sucker Ale and the occasion that you brewed it for?
Well, it's been a long time. I remember that I came up with the name Toe Sucker Ale, but I don't remember what it was for. You know, it's just a name.
Now the story I heard, maybe from you, was that you brewed this barley wine for the summer solstice.
That's correct.
And your partner, your brewer's assistant, Don Barkley,
Okay.
had a sufficient amount of this barley wine at this.
That's correct.
Is it coming back to you now?
Yeah.
So what did Don do at the solstice party?
I've forgotten that.
There's a clue in the name of the beer. It's Old Toe Sucker Ale.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. That's right. When he went around and started sucking the girls' toes at the party. We were all laid out like, you know, in summertime, and they all the women got their toes sucked.
Now, did this happen more than once?
No, only once.
But that's all it's got to happen, right?
Oh God, yes.
It's good to see you, Jack.
Okay, I'm glad to see you too.
Tom Maddock, president of the Fayetteville Lovers of Pure Suds. Welcome to Basic Brewing Radio.
Thank you. Great to be here.
What about this? This is a pretty cool occasion.
Oh, yes, it is a historic day bringing Jack McAuliffe out here, you know, the godfather of really craft brewing. So it's a big honor for us. I think it's a big honor for him. He's glad to be here. He's been in rather ill health, so bringing him out today, he was so happy to take this trip out here and be part of this. So I think he needs more trips like this. So
yeah, I agree. So how's the club been doing in the past couple of years? It's been a rough patch for everybody, but how have you all been coping and keeping together during these times?
Well, yes, it's been to the point where we didn't know whether the club was going to dissipate for a while, especially with COVID. So we did have some challenges to where we were meeting. Initially, we were meeting at Apple Blossom in their conference room area, which was really nice. I had a really big room. It was nice and quiet. And then, of course, COVID hit. And then we did not have a place at all because people couldn't meet anywhere. So for a period of time, we did meet out at my place, which I live east of Springdale. So we'd have people come out and meet in the garage. So we kind of kept it alive. And then even before that, before Apple Blossom, we actually met at the Botanical Gardens, and they gave us a really cheap rent on a room there, one of their smaller rooms, and so that was nice too. So, but since COVID now has been hopefully a little bit on the downside, and hopefully we can get out more, we've been looking for a place. So we did meet once at Saddlebach, and then we met once here at Fossil Cove. And from a vote of the members, we figured Fossil Cove was nice just because of location. We needed to, well, we feel we really need to, is get more diversity within the club. We need more members. We need younger blood instead of old white men.
Now, some of my best friends are old white men. So.
Yes, I know, and a lot of mine are too. But I think beer touches the lives of all of us, and in many, many ways, and just educating people about the differences now. I mean, it's incredible the amount of beer that we have available to us, and I look at brewing as, you know, kind of like a snowflake. There's no two brews exactly alike, so it's just a wonderful thing. All the parameters that can be changed to give and bring out some of the best flavors. So,
yeah, and Fossil Cove and Ben, you know, they have kind of a young, hip vibe, you know.
They sure do. and we're hoping to draw from that and bring some new hip vibe folks into the club with some cool ideas. I still like Pilsners, so good ones. I think I think the club's going to grow. I think it's already growing. Since we've been here, I think we picked up, and we've only been here 2 months. Picked up about 4 or 5 new members already. And so we were sitting at a membership of around 15 active members. Of course, our Flops Club on Facebook probably has, several hundred people, but only about 15 people would come to club meetings. Yeah. So I think we can get some people seriously involved in brewing, and amazed at the quality of beer that we can get. This year we had Brewtober Chili Fest, and we must have had over 50 entries, and it was a huge success this year. The final count was 543 people at the event. So we're hoping every year that's going to grow too, to kind of showcase homebrewers. It's all about homebrewers. That's all that there is there. It's a complete home brewing event.
Well, awesome.
No craft brewing.
Well, awesome. Well, hopefully events like this too will spark some interest as well. So,
yes.
So best of luck.
Well, thank you, James. Great to be here.
Great to be anywhere.
Yes.
Larry McAllister. Now you are in enemy territory here.
No.
No, you're the president of the Oz Homebrewing Club, which is more based in the north, right?
Yeah, up to Bentonville, Rogers, and Missouri folks come join our club meetings as well. So.
And what are y'all all about?
We're all about spreading the word of the gospel of craft beer. The gospel of craft beer, and wine and cider and meads too. We're into just about everything. We meet at Natural State every month, and it's a great place on a bike trail, and it's just we come share knowledge every month, share our home brews, and learn and repeat.
So is there a difference in focus between Flops and Oz? Are there preferences that are different between the clubs?
No, we're pretty similar. In fact, I'm a double agent. Obviously, I'm here. I'm in Flops as well. So, but it's just such a demand for people, and there's people south of Fayetteville that want to come to Flops, and then people north of Bentonville and Rogers that want to come to Oz, and we try to provide a place where people can come learn about craft beer and start making their own stuff at home. And it's been a big boom since COVID hit too, so it's been pretty good.
Now, do you have any kind of formal education program, or are you kind of more loose based as far as what you talk about or the curriculum?
So I invented this program called PIE. It's a PIE method of education for the club. It's a quarterly education system, so PIE. The first month of a quarter we'll talk about process. The second month of a quarter we'll talk about ingredients, and the third we'll talk about equipment. Oh, wow. So every quarter we're doing something new for process, ingredients, equipment, and those are the key things for brewing. So your process, your ingredients, your equipment. So every quarter we'll do that. We just got our website up too, and our hope is to have a video library and things like that for members that can just come look at what we've talked about and what we're trending on and things like that.
Awesome. Well, it's an ever-evolving, thank goodness for me doing this podcast, it's an ever-evolving hobby and industry, and there's always something new to learn.
Absolutely, yeah. Whether it's hazy IPAs or I think mead's starting to take off now too, so that's pretty cool. So
we love mead.
Yeah, mead is especially in Arkansas, you can get a lot of good honey here, and man, it's just taken off like crazy. So good stuff.
Awesome. It's good to meet you.
Good to meet you.
Keith Lynn, welcome to Basic Brewing Radio.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
Now, are you the man behind all this this situation here with Jack and brewing this beer?
Well, I think it's a team effort, but the club decided we wanted to do a barrel project it's been actually a few years ago, and this is in several iterations of how we were going to manage this. We got the partnership of Ben and committed to doing it, and so it worked out well. So here we are.
It's pretty exciting brewing this collaboration. It's been done before with Ken Grossman out at Sierra Nevada, and having the man himself here.
Right.
But bringing this to Northwest Arkansas is it's a landmark achievement.
Yeah, I think what one of the real things that I think are pretty awesome about it is we're able to capture some history and record it for on down the line, so this story can be told to future generations of brewers.
Now, I'm going to have you brag on yourself. A little bird told me that you were recognized recently in the homebrew competition, the national homebrew competition.
Yeah, correct. I won a gold medal in the national homebrew competition this year for a New England style IPA.
Wow. So it's a hazy beer?
That's a hazy beer.
Now, you're aware that hazy beers are ruining craft beer.
Well, I don't know about ruining, but they're pretty tasty. But I enjoy clear beer as well. So the make a IPAs clear again hats, and everything like that. But yeah, I enjoy both.
So what's your secret to the recipe?
There's no real secret to the recipe. I think
I heard you got your recipe from somebody else.
Well, all recipes, I guess, are kind of inspired by other people. So you take things that you learn, you tweak it, you adjust it along the way, and it kind of becomes your own.
But there's a story behind that, isn't there?
I don't think so. Well, so Jamil Zainashev wasn't involved, but with the recipe itself. But he has given me so much knowledge over the years. When I first started homebrewing, I didn't have. I was learning from scratch. A lot of online. Your podcast helped me along the way, and the old Jamil show from the Brewing Network. I got a lot of tidbits along the way on, and so I actually. Wrote to Jamil and was saying thank you for everything that he's contributed to the homebrew community, and he invited me out last week, and I actually was able to brew the batch on Heretic's pilot system.
See, that's the story.
Yeah, so Jamil actually hurt his back and he wasn't able to attend at the time, but I met his wife. I worked with the head brewer and operations person, Adam, that had been there since 2013, but it was a really cool experience.
Oh, well, congratulations.
Well, thank you.
And congratulations on helping to get this organized, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. The recipe here, I don't know if you heard the story behind the recipe, but it is the old toe sucker recipe as close as we could get. And I found the recipe on BYO, and the recipe that was listed on BYO, the color was off a little bit, the SRM. So I was curious about it and actually wrote to the folks at Sierra Nevada, and was pleasantly surprised. A couple of the brewers actually sent me notes back, some advice, and kind of explained what the difference is, what the error was in the clone recipe that I saw, and gave us a great foundation to do this today with Ben. So we're really excited about it.
Well, it just proves that beer people are good people, right, Jack?
That's right.
and they want to share. The good beer people want to share their secret.
Yeah, it's a great community. Everybody's even today is out to help each other. As a club, we're all working so that we can make better beer. And it's just not, it's the friendships, it's the community along the way, and that's what I really enjoy.
Thanks, Keith.
Absolutely. Take care, James.
Like you say, brewers are very friendly people. Well, the big ones are too.
But you were kind of the first of your kind. I mean, you made this brewery from scratch, and you were making batches of commercial batches of beer that were minuscule in comparison to sort of the big boys. So you were an anomaly at that time.
Well, Anheuser-Busch would brew in a single brew. They'd brew a year's amount of beer that we made.
In just one batch.
Yeah.
So, do you miss brewing?
Do I miss it? No.
But you can come and watch other people do the work now.
Oh, sure.
The last time I saw you was in the grocery store in Prairie Grove, I think, and you were there buying food, and I said, "Oh, what are you making tonight, Jack?" And I think you said coq au vin or beef bourguignon or something fancy like that. And I said, "Well," I thought to myself, "Well, Jack's, he's on top of things. That sounds better than anything else I'm going to cook tonight."
Coq au vin. It's good.
I'm sure it was. Thanks, Jack.
Sure.
Always great to talk to Jack. He's never sought the spotlight, so I'm always happy to get a few words from him whenever I can to keep the story of New Albion going. Again, be sure to look for New Albion's collaborations with Brewdog, and look out for Old Toe Sucker coming to Fossil Cove maybe in the fall after it's spent some time in some barrels. Really looking forward to that. So many thanks to Kevin Elskin for giving me a heads up. And thanks to everybody in attendance for the brewing who talked to me. Really looking forward to sampling the final results of that session. If you have brewing questions, show suggestions, or just want to say howdy, write to james@basicbrewing.com or just fill out the contact form on basicbrewing.com. And please don't tell us where you're from. Check out our mobile-friendly shop at basicbrewingshop.com. Thanks to everybody supporting us through our Patreon page. Special goodies coming your way. Check that out at patreon.com/basicbrewing. So until next time, until then, thanks for listening, everybody. I'm James Spencer. Production help for Basic Brewing Radio and our website is provided by Kelly Dodson. Basic Brewing Radio is a production of Active Voicing. We'll talk to you next time, everybody. In the meantime, stay well and stay tuned. So long.